What has been the funnest place to? What's the funnest show? Like, what's your like, man? As soon as I can book this show, I'm like, I know it's gonna be a good time.
Well, the best shows are in front of a lot of Latinos that I do here in Toronto, or
Yeah.
in the outskirts of Toronto. So the coolest part is performing in Spanish for 15 countries, like people from 15 countries, because we all share the language Spanish, but
Yeah.
we don't all speak it the same way. So we all
Yeah.
have our own slang, and
Yeah.
that difference in language is what makes the jokes.
Yeah. What for? Is it hard? Have you done stand up in both languages?
Yes, I do all the time.
Which one's more fun? Which one do you enjoy more?
To me, Spanish, just because it's my mother tongue.
Yeah.
But I love English too. You know, there's a lot of words stuff in English that you can't do in Spanish, and there's a lot of stuff in Spanish that you can't do in English. But
Yeah.
funny is funny.
Yeah.
I think I feel most comfortable in front of immigrants, in front of newcomers.
Yep.
But I've performed everywhere. I'm gonna perform in. I'm gonna perform in Costa Rica in 2 weeks. 2 shows in English, 1 show in Spanish. I'm gonna go to Quebec to perform, and I just performed in Barcelona and in Paris. Fun is fun, you know,
Yeah.
as long as it's relatable.
Yeah. Do you? Is it a completely different set based on language, or is it similar styles?
That's a good question. That's a very good question. So depends on the slot that I get. If it's a 5-minute set,
Yeah.
you know what? Yeah, the answer is yes. It's a different set. It's a different set.
Yeah.
So sometimes
it's like tight 5 versus, I guess, if you have the whole capacity to do, like, if you have a 12, you're like, let's go. We're having.
Yeah, if I have half
we're
an
doing
hour
this.
or an hour, then I get, which is what I'm doing in Costa Rica 3 nights in a row. Then I get to curate and everything. But if I only got 5 or 10 or 15 minutes, I'm going for the kill right away.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
English, I have a little bit I have less material in English than I do in Spanish, just because I do a lot more Spanish.
Yeah.
But I still have a lot of material in English that's relatable and that is not specific to a region. Like, it doesn't.
Yeah.
You don't have to be Latino or
Yeah.
French or Canadian to understand it.
Yep. How's your crowd work? Is your crowd work good?
Yeah, that's one of my biggest assets, man.
That's your
The
big
crowd work is what sets me apart, I think, from other comics. So basically, I take it really seriously. I've researched it a lot, and the show and the crowd work starts before you even speak. So
Yeah.
you arrive early. You arrive early to the venue. You
just
see
watch.
who's there. Yeah, you watch. You say hi. Who invited you? Why are you here? Oh, is this a bachelor party? Or what's going on? Bachelorette party?
Yeah.
What's the occasion? Do you know any other comics? Where are you from? What's exciting these days? And then if I see lookalikes, I'm writing these down on my little notebooks too. I bring a notebook or a cheat sheet, like a sheet of paper where I have my bits, and I'll be writing in the back. And then the key is to not, with your tonality, to not like say that this is the best joke in the world. It's just make it conversational at the beginning, so that you can, if the joke doesn't land, it's okay, because I'm just having small talk with you. So I don't start with jokes. I'll start making observations. I'll start talking to people. Obviously, it depends. If I only have 5 minutes, I'll go straight for the joke. But
Yeah.
if I have more time, then I will talk to some of the audience members. I'll make fun of some people with some lookalikes. I'll make observations about why are there seven girls on that table and 1 guy, or
Yeah.
like just anything that
Yeah.
pops out. I'll comment about it. And when you take it pro, is when you're able to weave in 3 separate observations that have happened in the show into 1 bit.
Yeah.
So, for example, this one time, I wish I would have recorded it because it was a good one. It was basically like, I said hi. I spoke to a couple and I was like, how long have you been together? And they were like, 3 months. I was like, oh, okay, cool. I made a couple jokes. 3 months, cool. And then 5 minutes later, I spoke to another couple right in front of me, and they were like, oh, I was like, how many years have you been married? And they were like, 3 years. And I was like, oh, cool, blah, 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 blah. And then 15 minutes later, I was talking to these 3 people, and they were single, blah, blah, blah. So then I said, "Oh wow, so this is pretty cool." And I said, I looked at the first ones. I said, 3 months, 3 years, threesome.
Yeah. Nice.
And
Nice.
and like
Yep.
you
Yeah.
weave it in together. Sometimes you got an
Yeah,
engineer
it
there.
builds a growth. Yeah, it builds a growth. Yeah. What? So,
100%.
but when you go for like 3 months, unravel that for me. Like, what immediately comes to your mind is like someone's like, yeah, we've only been together 3 months. Are you hitting them hard with like a, I don't like you're so fresh. Do you guys trust each other? Like, show me your what do you try to unravel, or is it just kind of like very candid?
No, I'm going straight for sex stuff. Oh, the sex
Yeah.
must be great right now. You don't,
Yeah.
you're not bored of each other.
Yeah.
Or if they're not official yet, you can kind of make it awkward and funny about that.
Yeah.
Are you
Like
together?
one saying like I'm a girl. Yeah, he's my boyfriend, and the other one's like, oh, we're just hanging out. Like, you go hard. Yeah.
So basically, there's 2 ways of what we teach in our public speaking through comedy workshops. So basically, you can go mitigate risk with yes or no questions, closed-ended questions when you crowd work, or you can embrace the risk, but it's still riskier, and do open-ended questions. So basically, what I teach my students who haven't really done crowd work and they may be scared of it because a conversation may jeopardize their set, you're like, just ask yes or no questions or things that are easy to respond. And after the 3rd or 4th or 5th question, you're going to get something.
Yeah.
So basically it's like, what's your name? It's like, it's Grant or it's Grant. You know, what's your
Yeah.
name? Grant. Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
How old are you? Let's just say 30. And you're repeating their answer to the mic.
Yep.
Because there's a lot of people in the back that can't hear you. Can't
Yep.
hear Grant speaking in the first row. So 30, very cool. Where are you from? I live in Tampa. Tampa, that's very nice. And after, are you single? So that's a yes or no question. And
Yeah.
then after three or 4 yes or no's, close-ended, then you could say, why are you single?
Yeah.
And now you can start to embrace a little bit of the risk. And typically after 4 or 5 questions, something will happen. I remember one time I got a big pop of this interaction. So there was a big, there was an Indian guy at my show, and I was like, hi, what's your name? And he was like, my name is Manoj. And I was like, Manoj, very nice to meet you. Where are you from? He's like, India. And I said, where in India? And he's like, downtown. And I was like, downtown India? and everybody, but I think he didn't speak English that well.
Yeah,
or he first couple weeks in Canada, and he thought I asked him, where does he live in Canada? Like in Toronto.
Yeah.
And he said downtown.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah,
But
it's like
just
downtown
because
India. Yeah.
Downtown India. So you just have to repeat it, and it
Yeah.
got a huge pop.
Love.
So just
How-
repeating it
Yeah.
works.
How much of your, like, if you have an hour, are you trying to like say, okay, I can dedicate at least this much time to crowd work, just like working through the people?
I would say 5 to 10 minutes, and you have to be, and that's you have to be very cognizant and in the present, in the moment, to understand that it's got to be intentional, because you can tell when a comic is just trying to crowd work to fill time, and
Yeah.
it looks horrible, and
Yeah.
just by you knowing that, it makes it.
You know what's, but like Russell Peters kind of does that, and I can tell because he's so good at crowd work, but like I feel like he's like you could tell that because that's his whole thing.
Yeah.
He has some things that he's like, I'm hoping I'm gonna get somebody, or I'm gonna pinpoint somebody out, and I have my bit that I've pre-planned, but like I'm looking for an Indian doctor, right? And he's like, I'm looking for that guy. Because I have my whole bit about my parents after, like he has but like to your extent, you're saying like you want to be aware of the room if they want to be receptive to it or not.
Yeah, in the case of Russell Peters, he's world class at it, and sometimes people go and see that. So, and I think he does it intentionally. He'll crowd work, and then he'll use the crowd work to transition into the bit that he already has.
Yeah.
So the best part is if the crowd work doesn't work, it's okay because you already have the joke, the established joke. But you have to be very present to understand, like, hey, I've been talking for 2 minutes or 4 minutes to these 3 people, haven't got any laughs out of it. It's time to start the show.